Ollie.
Sorry, yeah.
Hey, I've just found this really cool story. Can I tell you about it? So, 40 years ago, there was this Italian royal family, and they adopted 2 orphans who became prince and princess of their family,
Wow.
even though they weren't actually born to the prince in the first place.
That's very lucky.
So cool. They got everything that the natural children would have got of this couple. So they became a prince and a princess, and they're going to inherit this amazing castle. It's so cool.
That reminds me of another story I was reading recently.
Oh.
From the Bible. This is from John's Gospel, chapter 20, where Jesus appears to Mary Magdalene, from verse 10 to 18.
Okay.
Jesus appears to Mary Magdalene. Then the disciples went back to their homes, but Mary stood outside the tomb crying. As she wept, she bent over to look into the tomb and saw 2 angels in white seated where Jesus' body had been, one at the head and the other at the foot. They asked her, "Woman, why are you crying?" "They have taken my Lord away," she said, "and I don't know where they have put him." At this, she turned round and saw Jesus standing there, but she did not realize that it was Jesus. "Woman," he said, "why are you crying? Who is it that you are looking for?" Thinking that he was the gardener, she said, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have put him, and I will get him." Jesus said to her, "Mary." She looked towards him and cried out in Aramaic, "Rabboni," which means teacher. Jesus said, "Do not hold on to me, for I have not yet returned to the Father. Go instead to my brothers and tell them, I am returning to my Father and to your Father, to my God and your God." Mary Magdalene went to the disciples with the news, "I have seen the Lord." And she told them that he had said these things to her.
Oh, okay, I get it. So, like the Italian children were really happy that they'd been adopted. They could call the prince and princess mum and dad, and they could call each other brother and sister. Mary stops crying and is really happy because Jesus says that his father is the same as her father, and that she's his sister because he calls the disciples his brothers. Okay, so they're really happy. She's really, really, really happy about being in God's family. That actually reminds me of another passage, I'll show you, in Romans, where Paul says, "The Spirit himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's children. Now, if we are children, then we are heirs, heirs of God and co-heirs with Christ."
What's an heir? Something like this, or?
No, that's hair, obviously. No, an heir is not what we breathe. It's when you inherit all the good things that your parents want to give you. So we get the same good things that Jesus gets from God the Father. But I've got one more question, Ollie. Because my family isn't perfect at all. So why is it good that I'm in God's family?
So none of us have perfect families, but because God's adopted us, we do have a perfect heavenly family. Our perfect brother is Jesus, and our perfect father is God. They love us, they care for us, they help us when we're struggling, they encourage us, they share wonderful things with us, help us to be more like Jesus, and they have prepared a room for us in their home, which will never end, and it'll be amazing.
That sounds pretty amazing to me. Cool. So we get to be part of God's family, which means sharing everything that Jesus has forever.
Amen.
Amen.